Hi, welcome to Things Podcast, where you get kids' views on world news. Today we only have a few stories, although they are quite controversial. We have a new guest here. His name is Matthew. Matthew, would you like to say anything to the crowd?
No.
There you have it, people. Comment down below if you think Matthew should stay in Things Podcast. Like, what do you think about him? What's his personality like? But of course, what's been all over the news is George Floyd, who was murdered by police in Minneapolis, in the United States. And we wouldn't like to talk too much about that directly because it's very controversial and we don't want to get anything wrong. So instead we'll be talking more about the protests and everything else that has changed, like the Black Lives Matter movement. So does anyone here have something to say that they'd like to say?
I really think that Trump is handling this terribly. He hasn't really gone outright and apologized. He hasn't changed anything. He said that it's basically up to governors of states to make change with racism in the police. And I think that he's just sort of taking advantage of this situation for his own political gain. And that's not good at all.
More protests.
I agree.
Something else as well. It's very ironic because Donald Trump tweeted that all the president of China would need to do for the Hong Kong protest would be just to show himself and talk. However, when peaceful protests came to the White House in Washington, D.C., he hid in a bunker and ordered tear gas on the peaceful protest. So Donald Trump is completely incompetent in this situation.
And hypocritical.
And even worse is for the peaceful protests, and this is leading into our first story, rubber bullets are still real bullets, because something that the police have been doing at protests is using rubber bullets because they're less fatal. Now, there was a woman who got hit in the lip, and there was a really graphic image. I don't know if we want to show it, but it was gushing blood. Her lip was so swollen, and she was probably going to need stitches, and her jaw was out of place from the impact, most likely. So, even though, like, they're rubber bullets, so they're a tiny bit less lethal, it's still rubber flying at you at a super high speed that can still do terrifying amounts of damage. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Rubber bullets. Yeah, I mean, maybe in some cases you might possibly need them, but in most peaceful protests, nothing has actually been wrong. Like, no one's been doing anything properly wrong. And there's been some police getting away with a lot of crimes because they are quote-unquote justified.
Yes, very wise, Caden. William, do you have something to say on this matter?
I think as Caden said, me being helpful again, peaceful protests don't use any kind of bullet, but if it's a not peaceful protest, I'd say just evacuate the area, like get peaceful protesters to leave, and I don't know.
We're back after that small debacle. Unfortunately, Matthew had to leave, so you didn't get much of him. However, do type in the comments if you enjoyed his incredible personality. And why? Do you have anything to say on the story?
I think that America is not really all that it's hyped up to be, and that they have a lot of holes in their society, a lot of poverty, and a lot of racism. And I think we actually need change, not to just post black screens on your Instagram that will do nothing.
Yes, very wise words, Why. And I believe that while I was talking, William had something to say.
I'm sorry for people in America, but I have a little suspicion that America's economy is starting to collapse.
Oh, it already has, William.
Oh, okay.
They have 30 million unemployed.
Oh! Another thing is, although America's economy hasn't entirely crashed, it's just very fragile at the moment. If it crashes, we wouldn't want that to happen because right now America's so influential that if its economy crashed, then it could mean catastrophic results for every other country.
I actually watched a documentary on this recently. China's economy is like people think that it's gonna beat America's, like get higher, better than America's, even if it doesn't collapse at the moment by 2020 anyway. So China can be the new America.
Yeah, 'cause before the 80s, America had the biggest economy and they were the biggest producer after World War II because everybody else was absolutely destroyed. But America sent out a lot of troops, but nobody ever really invaded America or attacked America except for Pearl Harbor. Nobody really attacked them. So, yeah, and then China sort of took over.
Very wise words, Why. I believe Kane hasn't spoken much, so what are your views on this philosophical debate we're having?
I mean, I don't know much about things of economy, but I think it is quite obvious that America's economy is getting a bit screwed. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yes, that is about it for today. It's quite short. We only had one story, but it's we might just this is a big talk about America. What happened with George Floyd has changed the world so much. Like what I said, everybody's posting black pictures on Instagram and social medias, but more than that, there's so many different things changing. Like the protest. I saw this image of a train in Belgium or something that had spray painted on it, Black Lives Matter, all across one of the compartments, which goes to show how influential this is, that people all over the world have seen and care about what's happened and how America needs to change.
And all other countries, too. This is not just a problem in America. It's mostly a problem in America, but in other countries like South Africa and some other parts of Europe, there is still there's still racism. It's not just in America, and we need to fix it all over the world. And I think police brutality against people of color is not new, but people are have just been fed up with it now, how these people can get away with it.
Yeah, and it's happened died, black people in America, from police brutality. It probably happens a lot, just it wasn't videoed, but it seems this one last straw when the police officer Derek Chauvin sat on a black man's neck for 8 minutes for almost his knee was on his neck, blocking his air, and he couldn't breathe. So America's really just Donald Trump is so incompetent. Bring Obama back. Because Donald Trump just literally can't do anything about this. Like, he's terrible at running a country. I don't even know why he wanted to be president. Just probably for power, not because he thought he could better America. He didn't want to make America great again. He wanted to go down as a president so that he would feel like he did something and not just live off his father's inheritance and fire people.
Sick burn.
So, I feel like Donald Trump really should have been impeached, like, after the first month that he had been elected. Like, he's too incompetent to be able to do anything good for America. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say regarding this matter?
No, I don't really have that much more to say.
I think it was an awful, awful moment, and it should never happen again. I think generally the police, not just in America, in other places, should have, like, you know, a little bit less, like, control over the legal system. 'Cause, like, you know, these police officers probably believed they could actually get away with this.
And multiple probably have.
Yeah, it needs to change.
One of the biggest problems is police think they are the punishers. They punish criminals. What the police do is get criminals in front of the judge to be punished. They don't punish them themselves, which is what a lot of them think that they do.
Thank you for that, why. Now, I believe that this is just one story, but it was quite a big debate, and it's one of the biggest stories right now, just because it's so wrong. Also, I read somewhere that 2 of the 3 other police officers, with Derek Chauvin, were rookies. Like, they didn't know what to do. One of them was on his first shift since he became full-time, and Derek Chauvin basically dragged them down with his sheer incompetence and racism that he managed to get them charged with manslaughter, I believe, the other police officers, even though they were probably just like when you're a rookie at something, you're normally not extremely confident at it and prefer to rely on more experienced people for advice. So when these rookies were just standing behind Derek Chauvin because they didn't know anything better, because they were rookies, and now they're being charged with potentially life-ruining charges.
But they were still in the wrong, and the police agency which they belong to is still in the wrong. They should have been better educated on how to deal with situations like that.
Yeah. Overall, what we need is better police training, better background checks, and to be more exclusive with who you let be a police officer.
I actually believe, like, some of the higher-ups of the police department they were part of should have been, like, people directly responsible for their training. Should have been, like, you know, maybe, I don't know, kicked out of their position and replaced.
Although it could be a bit harsh if it was just like the police officer Derek was a racist and
Get opinions from inside,
Yeah.
like, the department, see if anyone specifically
yeah, but still, there's better training needed. Police need better training, and they need to not shoot rubber bullets at peaceful protests.
It's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. We can't trust the people who are literally supposed to be, like, protecting us.
And that's what's so scary about this whole situation. This trust, which many of us have not had for the police. I, for one, don't really like the American police. They just seemed a little bit off. And this sets my opinion in stone.
Yes, now, Caden, you've been rather silent. Do you have anything to say, or are you deciding that you'd like to replace William's position as the introvert?
I think it might actually just. I think it might just be a case of maybe better gun laws, because most racist outcroppings appear of people being shot to death. Because a lot of cops can just carry guns on their hips and pull them out whenever they want. Like I saw one video where a black man was needed to pull out of his car, and when they asked him to put his hand on the handbrake to pull out, or whatever that thing's called, they drew a gun on him and said he had a gun, and inspected his car, which they had no right to do. So yeah, guns are just a bit, probably need to be locked in the car first.
I think there should be like an entirely new like part in the hierarchy of the police, where like you've got your like normal police officers, and then with no like lethal force, and then you've got like ones that have clearly proven themselves to be like trustworthy, to not be like racist and stuff like it, discriminant against other races, and they should be the ones bearing arms, because you do need police bearing arms.
Well, that seems to be about it for today. Once again, sorry it was only one story and just one big debate or argument. But I've been Ben. This has been William, Y, and Caden, and Matthew, although he's now gone. This is Things Podcast, where you get kids' views on world news.
It looks like you lost another one.